So we'll go ahead and get started here with the October 8th Executive Committee meeting. We have a short and sweet agenda for today. So before we begin, I'd like to ask our interpreter, Ruth, to introduce herself and walk us through how to access our interpretation services. Ruth?
Yes, good morning. I'll repeat the message that follows in English. Para hacer uso del servicio de interpretación, por favor desplácese a la parte inferior de la pantalla de Zoom, donde aparecen los controles. Haga clic en el icono de interpretación, que es el globo terráqueo, y seleccione Spanish, español. Si está utilizando la aplicación móvil de Zoom en celular, tableta, etc., presione los puntos suspensivos, luego Interpretation y luego el idioma. Gracias. To use the Zoom interpretation feature, please scroll to the bottom of the Zoom screen where the meeting controls are. Click on the interpretation icon, which is the world icon, and select English as your language. If you are joining using the Zoom mobile app on a cell phone, tablet, etc., please press the ellipses, then interpretation, and then choose your language. Thank you.
Okay. I would like to invite you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Now we have our number one, which is approval of meeting minutes. Do we have any comments on our meeting minutes?
So moved, Sotelo Solis.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure with Francesca, we have no comments that you see.
No, Chair, no comments from the public.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, so let's go ahead and vote.
Thank you very much. For the City of San Diego, Vice Chair Gloria.
Aye.
Thank you. For the County of San Diego, Supervisor Lawson Reamer.
Aye.
Thank you. For East County, Mayor Vasquez.
Aye.
Thank you. For North County Coastal, Chair Blakespear.
Aye.
Thank you. For North County Inland, Mayor Jones. I believe North County Inland. Oh, there she is. Give her just a moment to be promoted to a panelist. I'll come back to Mayor Jones. For South County, Mayor Sotelo Solis.
Sotelo Solis, aye.
Thank you very much. And for North County Inland, Mayor Jones.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that does pass unanimously.
Okay, thank you. And now we are on to number two, which is public comments or member comments. Do we have any public comments? Non-agenda public comments?
No, Chair, I don't see any hands.
Okay, any board comments? Looking around, don't see any. Okay. So next we have item number 3, which is a review of our draft board agendas. So we'll hand this to Victoria to lead us through that. Oh, we can't hear you, Victoria.
Good morning. I have 3 agendas to go through. I will start with the October 22nd Board of Directors meeting. Item number 1 is public comments, communication member comments, followed by item number 2, which is the Chief Executive Officer's report. Under your consent calendar, we have item number 3, which is approval of the meeting minutes, followed by item number 4, which is the Wildlife Conservation Board grant funding. This is the acceptance of grants for the Buena Vista Lagoon Enhancements Project. Item number 5 is the Transnet EMP Land Management Grant Program Call for Projects. This is coming from the Transportation Committee, and it modifies some of the draft evaluation criteria and is to release the call for projects. Item number 6 is your standard approval of proposed solicitations and contracts, followed by item number 7, which is actions from policy advisory committees. Item number 8 is your 2022 Board of Directors and Policy Advisory Committee annual meeting calendar, followed by item number 9, which is the continuation of teleconference meetings, which is to adopt a resolution per the Brown Act to allow for continued remote teleconference public meetings. Item number 10 is the Chief Executive Officer's delegated actions. This is for information. And item number 11 is meetings and events attended on behalf of SANDAG. Under your reports, you have 3 reports. The first one is item 12, which is the release of the debt service reserve funds for 2008, Series A, B, C, and D. Followed by number 13, which is the social equity early action transit projects. This is coming from the Transportation Committee. And then last but not least, item number 14 is the regional digital equity strategy provided for information, and it'll provide an overview. This concludes the October 22nd agenda.
Okay, thank you. Do we have, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Do you want me to move on to October 29th?
Yes, let's go through all of them and then we'll see if there are any comments.
Sure. And on October 29th, we're planning a special board meeting where staff will go over the modifications that are being made to the regional transportation plan as the plan moves from the draft to the final. And then on November 5th, we are looking to host a social gathering for the board. This will provide an opportunity for members to get to know each other and engage in team building activities. This concludes the draft board agendas.
Okay, thank you so much, Victoria. Do we have any public comments on the upcoming agendas?
No, Chair, no hands from the public.
Okay, Vice Chair Gloria?
Thank you, Chair. Just a question of staff. I want to express my appreciation for staff's work on advancing some of our much needed bicycle projects in the region, specifically in the city of San Diego. We've been tracking the East Hillcrest and Pershing Drive projects. I think we'd anticipated seeing an item on the October 22nd agenda about one of these projects. I didn't see those, but maybe I'm misunderstanding maybe the way that they're identified on the agenda. Is there any update on that front that staff can share at this point?
Mary Gloria, let me, I think there is, I don't know whether it's on the 22nd agenda or later, but let me find out and I'll get back to you shortly.
Yeah,
I
Mayor,
appreciate that.
we usually bring those to the Transportation Committee, but we can certainly bring all the bike status report to the board also.
Okay, just wanted to track this closely and make sure that we're following through.
Yeah. And Mayor, I think you also are probably alluding to the fact that starting next month, we're gonna take major budget amendment and TIP amendment that would also change the bike program and its location and its allocation of funds. But it's not next meeting, I believe. All right.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. I appreciate the help.
I figured out what I do at this point. I would also like to add one clarification to the November 5th meeting, that it is not a board meeting. It is simply an event for board members to meet and greet.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, before we hold on a second, Mayor Hall, but I just wanted to follow up on Vice Chair Gloria's question. So if it goes to the Transportation Committee and then it comes to the board, does that delay any of the work that we're doing? Because we're going through the 2 rounds. If we did do it simultaneously, go to Transportation and I guess I did want to hear maybe from Jim Hassan because
Sure,
he's
yeah, no,
tracking
please.
it as a staffer.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I'm trying to get my video on and it just does not want to
It's
cooperate.
okay, we can see you. We can see you.
Okay. Yeah, no, the reason we would come to the board would be to award a construction contract. And that is not the issue. What we typically bring to transportation is a regular report on the status of the bike program, just like we do all the major corridors, Mid-Coast and I-5 North Coast and things like that. So there would be no holdup.
Okay, so is that what the Vice Chair was asking, was for a status report, or because I know we're trying to expedite these projects?
Not a status report. I mean, I think something got in my head that we were going to be voting on something on the 22nd. So when I didn't see it on the agenda, I wanted to ask the question. And I assumed I was just misunderstanding one of the items. I understand that this would go to TC. Great, as long as we're making that progress that we explained to the public we'd be making. Again, just want to track this closely and make sure we're delivering.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, Mayor Hall.
Yeah, just you stated that on the 29th, you're going to bring all the responses to comments from when we move from the draft to the final EIR. How much time do we have to review those and make further comments?
I believe staff will be highlighting some of those changes today at the board meeting. And then Colleen, are you on? I can get back to you with the time. I mean, I believe that the whole meeting is dedicated towards this issue.
Yeah, she's not on, but we will be talking at the board today about the RTP and the next steps. Here she is. Colleen, there's a question from Mayor Hall.
We're looking to find out on the October 29th board meeting where we'll be talking about the modifications from draft to final. How
Yeah.
much time will be provided for this conversation?
Well, I think ultimately it's up to the board to decide how much time you want to have for public comment. Our presentation will be rather brief. We're going to spend about a half an hour going through the changes. Obviously, there's, lots and lots and lots of pages of responses to comments. We plan to post that on October 20th. So that'll be available for the public on October 20th, and then we'll have the discussion on the 29th.
Okay, so what you're saying then is we'll know we don't have 9 days to comment from when we get that. If we need more than 9 days, then we'll need to ask for it at the 29th.
Well, Mayor Hall, just to be clear, I mean, we have a schedule to follow that will be, we talk about that schedule for the last year.
But again, sir, there is the law, and we do have, should have amount of time to respond, especially to some of the detail in the comments. And what I'm asking is clearly is if 9 days isn't enough, then we need to ask for more. Usually there's 30 to 90 days to respond after the comments on the final EIR. So I'm just wanting to make sure that there's enough time in the process. And I've made comment about this all the way through. It's not just check the box. I mean, we actually have work to do here, and some of the detail in what we're doing here is quite in depth, and it just doesn't happen in a day. So
you have until December 10th, sir, before you adopt the plan to let the board know if you want to, but we're complying with all the laws. We know exactly what the laws are. That's why you pay us a lot of money. We're
Okay.
complying with all the laws, but you have until December 10th when we adopt the plan to make sure we can hear you. Absolutely.
okay. Well, again, these are important. I mean, our general plans and what you're doing have to be aligned going forward, or most of this data doesn't have value. So we're just trying to do it right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I would entertain a motion on this item.
Move approval, Chair.
Okay.
Solis, second.
Okay, great. We have a motion and a second. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. For the City of San Diego, Vice Chair Gloria.
Aye.
Thank you. For the County of San Diego, Supervisor Lawson Reamer.
Aye.
Thank you. For East County, Mayor Vasquez.
Aye.
Thank you. For North County Coastal, Chair Blakespear.
Aye.
Thank you. For North County Inland, Mayor Jones.
Aye.
Thank you. And for South County, Second Vice Chair Sotelo Solis.
Sotelo Solis, aye.
Thank you. And that does pass unanimously.
Okay, thank you. So now we have number 4, which is our legislative status report. So we'll hand that over to Victoria.
Sure. So there's lots going on in Washington with little action. As you know, there's been 5 major transportation related activities that keep us busy. First is the continuing resolution to fund the government. Second is raising the debt limit. Third is the Senate bipartisan infrastructure bill. Fourth is the reconciliation package, the Build Back Better funds. And last but not least is the extension of the FAST Act. So I'll start with the continuing resolution. As you know, the federal budget was set to expire on September 30th. And in order to avoid a shutdown, the president signed a continuing resolution to fund the government through December 3rd. The stopgap measure maintains FY21 funding for most government programs, including the US DOT, while also providing $6.3 billion to resettle Afghan refugees, as well as $29 billion for disaster relief for Hurricane Ida. Congressional lawmakers are continuing to work together on an agreement for the FY22 budget. So we'll give you another update in December to see where we're at with the spending bills. Notably, the continuing resolution did not include a measure to suspend the debt ceiling, despite previous proposals to attach the suspension bill to the stopgap spending bill. The Department of Treasury was projecting that the government would reach its borrowing limit by October 18th. However, just last night, the Senate voted along party lines to extend the borrowing authority through December 3rd. The measure now goes to the House. Republicans had typically been refusing to raise the debt ceiling, arguing that they shouldn't have to foot the bill for the president's broader economic agenda, while Democrats maintain that the debt ceiling covers past spending, and this issue was never addressed under the Trump administration by the Democrats. So they're looking to see if they can try to find some consensus. We also have a bipartisan infrastructure bill moving through the House and the Senate. However, Democrats are having a hard time keeping these two together and linked. The Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act and the Budget Reconciliation both contain tax increases and funding for social and climate spending, and potentially more transportation spending. On August 10th, the Senate passed the Infrastructure Investment Jobs Act, and the bipartisan legislation would then go to the House for their vote. In addition, the bill provides $550 billion in new investments for all modes of transportation. This is like nearly 50% towards modernizing and improving transportation infrastructure, with the majority of the money being reserved for highways, roads and bridges, power and energy, the environment, and broadband and resilience. And as many of you guys have heard, there's also an additional bill, a sweeping $3.5 trillion, 10-year spending plan called the Build Back Better. It marks the Democrats' drive to expand education, healthcare, childcare support, tackling the climate crisis, and making additional investments in infrastructure. Some have stated that they would not be in support of the reconciliation package until the price tag is lowered. Meanwhile, others in the House are standing firm on their goal to move both of the infrastructure package and the reconciliation package together. Staff will continue to keep the committee apprised on the latest developments on these two bills, as these could have substantial impacts on the funding that comes to the region based on what we are receiving currently. And last but not least, we have the short-term extension of the FAST Act. The FAST Act also expired on September 30th, and Congress, in order to ensure that funding continues to flow to the agency and that transportation projects were able to be kept afloat, Congress did pass a 30-day stopgap, but they will have to address this next month. So that concludes the federal legislative update. I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have.
Okay, thank you so much, Victoria, for the update. You have a lot to do with all the language that is used in DC, and it flies by. So it's nice to have an update. Thank you for providing that. Is there any state update? I know the governor is signing bills every day.
Yes. Anna?
Hi, good morning. My name is Anna Lowe. For some of you I have not met. I am joining the government relations team in support of Victoria and Jack and others. And I am going to go ahead and give you a presentation here on the state legislation. As of September 10th, the California legislature adjourned the first year of the 2021-2022 session, and over 800 bills passed the Assembly and Senate and have been sent to the governor's desk for action. The governor has until October 10th to sign or veto them. And we came to the Executive Committee and Board of Directors earlier this year to approve our 2021 legislative program. At the time, we highlighted several focus areas that really positioned us well with a significant number of bills the legislature considered this year. In June of this year, we provided you with a list of bills we wanted to take support positions on. Today, we can announce that 6 of the 7 bills were passed by the California legislature. As a quick refresher, I will highlight those 6 bills. SB 4 and AB 14 relate to programmatic changes to the California Public Utilities Commission's administration of the California Advanced Services Fund, which exists to address the digital divide. These two joint bills extend the goal and timeline for the program, increase funding for the CPUC to administer two local agencies and regional broadband consortia, and invest in core middle mile infrastructure. SB 671 would establish the Clean Freight Corridor Efficiency Assessment to be developed by the California Transportation Commission in coordination with other state agencies. In addition to the assessment, this bill would require the commission to identify freight corridors or segments of corridors that would be priority candidates for the deployment of zero-emission medium and heavy-duty vehicles. Lastly, this bill would open up the criteria to SB Trade Corridor Enhancement Program funding to projects that employ advanced and innovative technologies to improve freight flow and those that mitigate or reduce environmental impacts. A report will be submitted to the legislature by December 2023. AB 43, authored by Assembly Transportation Committee Chair Laura Friedman, grants greater flexibility to state and local authorities in setting safety-induced speed limits based on recommendations from the California Transportation Agency's Zero Traffic Fatalities Task Force. The bill would require local authorities to consider other factors, including pedestrian and bike safety. SB 1 was championed by Senate President Pro Tem Tony Atkins and signed by the governor last month, establishing California Sea Level Rise Mitigation and Adaptation Act of 2021 and creating a new program at the Ocean Protection Council to help coordinate and fund state efforts to prepare for sea level rise associated with climate change. And lastly, AB 66, authored by Assemblymember Borna Horvath, was signed by the governor earlier this week and requires Scripps Institution of Oceanography at UCSD to conduct research on coastal cliff landslides and erosion in our along our county's coastlines as a condition of receiving state funds. That concludes the state legislative report. I'm happy to answer any questions. If not, I can pass things over to Hector, my colleague, to talk about border activities.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any hands raised, so let's go ahead with you, Hector.
Thank you, Anna. Good morning, Chair Blakespear and members of the committee. As our CEO, Hassani Krata, has mentioned in prior meetings, we are still celebrating the U.S. National Hispanic Heritage Month, which lasts from September 15 to October 15, ending next week. And this is very important from your borders perspective, because we celebrate the National Day of several countries that speak Spanish, including, of course, our neighbors south of the border, Mexico. But as President Biden stated in his proclamation this year, National Hispanic Heritage Month is an important reminder of how much strength we draw as a nation from our immigrant roots and our values as a nation of immigrants. But our San Diego region celebrates most important that this is part of our own history. San Diego recognizes and speaks Spanish not only because of our border with Mexico or because our immigrants' roots, but because at a point in time, this was part of the Spanish crown. So now, speaking of Mexico, your international land border crossings continue to operate with mandated restrictions. At this point, no Mexicans nor other nationalities can cross by land using their visas to come to San Diego, as it has been for the last 18 months. But your port of entries are not empty, and not at all. Thousands of people are crossing every day, experiencing hours and hours of border wait times. Again, these are not Mexicans coming to San Diego. These are US citizens and residents returning to the United States. Thousands of citizens and residents go to Mexico and come back every day. Over there, they find housing, medical services, medicine, education, etc., etc. And when they come back to the United States, they fulfill their needs, they do their jobs, and they generate substantial economic activity here. So the pandemic revealed that we have a big cross-border community of US citizens and residents that represent our shared population with Mexico. This is about, at this time, about 140,000 US citizens and residents, which will be about the size of the city of Escondido. In this context, you remember that Mexico held elections in June, and the state of Baja California elected new municipal and state administrations. The new Congress has been already in session since August 1st, and Diputado Roman Cota, head of the Border Commission, will participate in a future meeting of your Borders Committee. Last week, on Friday, October 1st, the new municipal administrations were inaugurated, and Honorable Montserrat Caballero became the first woman elected to serve as mayor of Tijuana, which, according to the latest census in Mexico, is now the most populated municipality in the country with 1.9 million people. Also, Honorable Darío Benítez became mayor of the neighboring Tecate, and Honorable Araceli Brown was re-elected as mayor of Playas de Rosarito. Governor-elect Marina del Pilar Ávila will start her new administration as the first woman in that position in the state of Baja California next month on November 1st. And as our CEO mentioned, Governor-elect Ávila was welcomed by some of our board leaders and visited our Vision Lab in Sandag last month in September to learn more about San Diego's transformative vision. And I will head to the last part of my report. At a federal level, on September 9th, Vice President Kamala Harris and President López Obrador relaunched the cabinet-level U.S.-Mexico High-Level Economic Dialogue, also known as HLED, where the two countries met and agreed in 4 key pillars for the new bilateral understanding. Although this was not, they didn't wrote about the Otay Mesa East project specifically, we understand it was discussed and both sides agreed it is a priority. Your Otay Mesa East project continued to progress as we speak, and staff is finalizing the traffic and revenue investment grade study, and you will hear of this very soon. And with this, I conclude my report, and I guess we are ready for questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the update to the 3 of you. Do we have any public comments on this?
No, Chair, no hands from the public.
Okay, I don't see any hands raised from the electeds on this board either. So that is the end of our meeting. This concludes it. We have a cancellation notice for November 5th that will be coming out. That's canceling this executive committee meeting because on November 5th, we'll be having a social event that will not involve the executive committee. So the next regularly scheduled meeting is on December 3rd. And with that, we will see you in 3 minutes, adjourned over to the other Board of Directors meeting. So thank you, everybody.